Welcome, Gemini, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 15th of June for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share the big themes of what's going to be an action-packed week. First of all, on screen is your event chart, Gemini. As we go into the week, I'll unpack that. It's always an important backdrop. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of your energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. The focus inevitably, Gemini, is going to be on the new moon in your zodiac sign on Monday. And it's a new moon that does link really well to Jupiter, the planet of fortune. So if you are using your mind, your intellect, particularly in a way to convert that to additional income, the chances are that your approach can pay dividends. But also, as we go into this week, Uranus in your sign on a new moon for the first time in 77 years is in a very complex relationship with the North and South node. So I need to share about that with you. But if your focus is on communication, Venus the relator is in a brilliant part of your chart and links back fabulously well to Uranus, to Neptune, and then later in the week, a very intriguing link in an opposition to Pluto. It's just that as we go into this week, Gemini, your ruler Mercury is challenged by the restrictive vibe of Saturn. So I need to share that with you too. And we have Chiron, the so-called wounded healer, moving into your 12th house at the latter part of the week on Friday for an initial 3-month visit. What's that about for you? And then as the cosmic curtain comes down on this week, the sun moves out of your sign into Cancer with the solstice, but also ushering in cardinal quadrant 2, the next 13-week period of the Western tropical astrological year, which could see you focusing a lot on your life foundations, but also being in touch with how you feel about your value and also your approach to finances. So on the screen now, your event chart. And there's the sun and the moon coming together. The intriguing thing about a new moon in your zodiac sign is the moon doesn't have any essential dignities, good or bad, in Gemini. So it's known as being in peregrine. And the moon's about feeling, and your sign is much more to do with the mental plane, being an air sign. So you're just being asked that when you're expressing new or fresh ideas, or you're trying to inject what you're doing with ongoing plans with greater enthusiasm, that you do check that it feels right, because the moon in the first house can be a little bit impulsive. You also have Uranus in your zodiac sign on a Gemini new moon for the first time since 1949. So it's a really big deal, but that's forging square with your North Node right at the top of your chart, your connection to the world. So over the last 18 months, you've been drawn towards perhaps a more spiritual, more healing dimension as far as that connection, but also square into the South Node, where perhaps you retreat when you're needing to be more protective. But of course, Virgo is about practicalities. Pisces is about the more spiritual dimension, and Uranus, particularly in your sign, is very cool, logical, detached, but also rather impulsive. So there may be some kind of tension between your thinking, your connection to the world at large, and how that works emotionally for you that is going to go on through to the 26th of July when the true North nodes move. Now, I also mentioned to you about Mercury being challenged by Saturn. If there is someone around you at the moment who just does not share your credo, you can become much more conscious of that person. And maybe it was a person that you were well aligned to. So it could have been around a group situation, maybe around a friendship. It may have been in a collaborative situation what Saturn will do over the next near to 2 years is make you much more picky about who you spend time with. And although Mercury in Cancer can be using our thoughts in a more nurturing way, for you it's the second house. So for me, I feel where your values have not aligned with someone else, that's shown up quite a lot recently. So therefore, the new moon in a way and the clash between Uranus and the nodes, it's all the potential for you to perhaps take a bit more control of your life direction, but on your terms, which is a good thing. But Chiron moving on Friday into a tender part of your chart also gives you an opportunity to stay in touch with that more psychological dimension or get to know some of your fears and anxieties more intimately. But if you are feeling in a much more outgoing and bubbly frame of mind, I think Venus being in Leo is fabulous for you, because as much as Mars and Saturn linking to Mercury might be evoking, particularly when Chiron arrives on Friday, that more doubtful energy. I think Venus here can see that part of you that can be the consummate relator, flexible, of course. You can pivot to get on with different types of people. But if you're chatting to someone who's lively and vivacious, Uranus in a sextile on Monday, exactly with Venus, or someone you really are connected to in a very romantic and very aligned way, Neptune, or there's someone you're just finding it really fun to kind of banter with and have debates, but also is there a little bit of a spark of attraction, Pluto, that can come to the fore towards the end of the week on Friday. So your relating sector is strong, even if the moon in the new moon in Gemini is not its strongest new moon. So I'm going to summarize those four areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next. But just to say, slashed the price of my personal horoscope report. For many years, it was buy two, get 30% off. Now, because of the cost of living increases, trying to do my bit. So it's buy one and get three. So the one you pay for, your life roadmap report, which compartmentalizes the different parts of our nature, which helps us to understand those components in a clearer way and make better decisions future forwards. Free, your 12 months transit forecast to time your moves over the next year, but also free your draconic soul karmic analysis, which if you don't have your North Node late in Pisces or early in Aries, can be very different from your nativity and helps us to look at astrology, life, and ourselves in a different but quite profound way. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch your Gemini new moon video, that's on the screen. If you've yet to watch your Jupiter no more blocks video, on the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be an absolute pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope, fired to your device each morning for your early day celestial pit stop, you can do so below too. So to summarize, as far as energy is concerned, I think the thing to be mindful of is that with Uranus in such a very, very vibrant part of your chart, the first house is our body. Uranus can be electrifying. So you could be very stimulated, but that can create a lot of adrenaline. And the link between the North Node, perhaps your connection to the world, but in a more spiritual or emotional context, or the square to the South Node, how you protect your physical well-being, but also for you, the emotional roots of your situation. So if you're so caught up in, uh, you know, sparkling into different situations, using your mind, you could just become a little bit on edge through to the end of July. So just be wary. The first house is about managing our physical vitality. So getting a good balance between mind, body, and soul is going to be something we all need to work on. However, what you do have in terms of your well-being is Chiron moving into your 12th house on Friday. And that initial visit for the next 3 months It's also going to see it linking very well with the sun's move into Cancer. And there could be a correlation. For example, the second house where the sun is going to be moving to can be very much to do with what we're eating and drinking. And because you've had Jupiter there for a year, and not an easy Jupiter visit on the whole, it may be that there is some changes that you can make to what you're eating and drinking, which can actually help your vitality quite a lot. Now, as far as your professional situation is concerned, if you're really just going, being guided by some kind of higher purpose towards what works for you, as long as you feel you can be totally authentically yourself, it's all systems go. And I think if you are someone who's interested in teaching, training, travel, the media, broadcasting, publishing, you're absolutely sparkling with all the different possibilities. But if you're not enjoying being in that corporate environment or bending to someone else's will, I think the creativity of Venus through to July the 9th in your third house means that you can use your ideas, but also use your powers of persuasion if you're looking for a job or you're trying to get new clients with your own enterprise. As far as finances is concerned, I think if you're doing something that you really enjoy individually, the link to Jupiter on that new moon can improve your finances. However, I think there can be some tensions around shared resources or something to around a group dynamic. When it comes to a romantic situation, well, there's so much potential this week. It's really exciting. So if you're going on some new dates, you're going to have a blast. Will it be the love of your life? Well, if you can align in terms of that more spiritual dimension with Neptune and Venus, for sure. If it's someone that you just have a real cheeky, mischievous, buzzy connection with, maybe it will be fleeting, but it will be fun. But also in an existing relationship, as Venus goes face to face with Pluto by Friday, that can bring out a much more sensual dimension of the relationship, but also flag up some politics which may need to be looked at and dealt with too. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for joining me. All the best and have a great week too.